Hey everyone, and welcome. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here for this explainer. Today, we're exploring a seriously fascinating blueprint from the GENII ecosystem. It's this incredibly ambitious framework that outlines how society can actually transition out of our current, stressful scarcity mindset and step right into what they call a guaranteed abundance reality. We're talking about a complete planetary operating system reboot here, and honestly, the mechanics of how it's designed to work are just mind-blowing. Okay, let's dive into our six-part cognitive map for this. 1. The global scarcity bug. 2. Veterans as Earth Guardians. 3. ARQ-18 off-grid hardware. 4. Solving the hunger bug. 5. GENII's bottom-up economy. And 6. Blue zones for everyone.
So, Section 1, the global scarcity bug, recoding the legacy logic of our world.
To really wrap our heads around this new framework, we first have to look at the diagnostic of our current world. The sources argue that our current global crises, they're essentially a glitch in what they call legacy code. Right now, we're operating on this extractive zero-sum conflict logic. It relies heavily on aid dependency and just managing scarcity. But the GENII framework proposes a complete system upgrade. Instead of just managing scarcity, this new code guarantees an abundance reality, driven by a regenerative profit motive and asset-backed guarantees. It completely shifts our baseline from systemic entropy to real operating stability. A perfect example of this glitch is what the framework calls the hunger bug. Think about the paradox of scarcity for a second. We already possess the global resources, the technology, and the energy to ensure universal well-being. So hunger isn't some permanent human condition or a lack of resources, right? It's actually a correctable systems engineering failure in distribution. It's artificial scarcity created by outdated logic. Ultimately, this framework proves that the hunger bug is not a resource problem, but a systems engineering challenge that has finally been solved.
Section 2, Veterans as Earth Guardians, the human catalysts testing the new system.
Now, a massive systemic shift like this requires human catalysts to actually stress test the new reality, and the framework identifies combat-resilient veterans for this crucial role. The transition begins with a really rigorous 90-day master operational plan designed specifically for these demobilized lone soldiers. Month 1 focuses on theoretical ethics and an internal reset, basically decompressing from that combat mindset. Month 2 then shifts into practice and community service. And finally, Month 3 is the ultimate stewardship and autonomy test, where they have to prove they can sustain themselves completely off-grid.
The VEGAN Ethical Leadership Intern Program maps this out brilliantly. It starts with historical anchoring to untangle past grievances, moves right into physical rehabilitation, where veterans actually earn direct equity in physical sanctuaries, and it culminates in advanced defense. But here's the catch. This isn't border defense, it's life support defense. The program intentionally re-engineers trauma, transitioning these individuals from just surviving combat into self-reliant Earth Guardians who literally build the architecture that makes human scarcity obsolete.
During that crucial second month of practicum, these veterans take over kitchen operations at places like the Rabbi Akiva Yeshiva. They step fully into the roles of protectors and nurturers for elderly residents. By doing this, they are actively preparing spaces for everyone to live their lives to the fullest, regardless of age, abilities, or status. It's just a profound shift, going from taking life in combat to building and protecting life in service. Section 3. ARQ-18, Off-Grid Modular Hardware, the physical foundation of abundance. Of course, these Earth Guardians need physical infrastructure to manage, and that is where the RQ-18 units come into play. The baseline habitat is called the Pioneer Node. Now, instead of looking like some cold, clinical piece of industrial tech, it's designed as this beautiful, approachable off-grid cottage nestled right in nature. It completely redefines what futuristic infrastructure looks like by wrapping highly advanced technology in these natural, warm aesthetics. And the tech packed into this approachable design is just incredible. Each ARQ-18 unit operates as a closed-loop system providing the 4 absolute essentials for life. We're talking roof-mounted solar arrays and batteries for power, atmospheric water harvesting units that pull clean drinking water right out of the air, mistphonic vertical aeroponic towers that grow high-yield crops indoors using nutrient mists, and even waste-to-energy gasification to turn local garbage into clean power. It is literally an engine of abundance. Section 4. Solving the hunger bug, the absolute validation of off-grid autonomy. So back to the human element. During the third month of their training, these guardians face a capstone off-grid autonomy test to physically solve this hunger bug. To pass, they have to maintain absolute food sovereignty using a dual nutritional engine, known simply as the bar and the jar. The high-density bar provides massive caloric value. We're talking 4,000 calories per kilogram with multi-year shelf stability, and it requires zero external energy to process. Alongside it, the regenerative jar uses anaerobic fermentation loops and sprouting arrays to provide wild strain probiotic safety and complete biological clarity. Together, they guarantee nutritional security even if the traditional supply chain were to completely collapse.
Section 5. GENII's Bottom-Up Economy, Transmuting Local Output into Global Stability. Now, the output from these veterans operating off-grid ARQ-18 units doesn't just exist in a vacuum. It is algorithmically networked by the GENII AI. Let's look at the number 18. In this ecosystem, $18 represents the forever fund threshold. It is the algorithmic daily cost of a complete nutrition and shelter cycle for one person inside an ARQ-18 unit. Once you hit this $18 threshold, your baseline physical survival is entirely unplugged from the legacy scarcity grid.
Furthermore, as products like the Miracle Bar are distributed within the ecosystem, the GNI II automatically carves off 20% of every single sale. This capital is immediately routed to acquire irreplaceable agricultural land, which is held securely under a real estate investment trust called the QION REIT. So, the crucial takeaway here is that this system permanently transforms the dynamic of global aid. By routing that 20% into the REIT, consumers and local operators are transformed from passive aid recipients into fractionally vested deed owners of global land assets tracked via the QION token. They actually own a piece of their present to build their future. After all, people protect what pays them, effectively turning stability into a highly profitable market outcome.
Ultimately, as these local ARQ-18 nodes generate surpluses, whether that's through vertical farming, carbon sequestration, or waste gasification, that surplus translates directly into wealth. Successful guardians in the network aim to unlock a monthly lifestyle goal equivalent to roughly $9,000. At this level, true individual wealth sovereignty is achieved, creating a massive, stabilizing middle class.
Section 6. Blue Zones for Everyone, a shared operating system for human optimization. When we zoom out from the individual ARQ-18 unit, we see the macro vision. These individual nodes connect to form thriving ecosystems known as blue zones. By routing the specialized training of combat-resilient veterans into the off-grid engineering of the ARQ-18, GENII builds an unbreakable bottom-up economic paradigm. It replaces historical fragmentation with human-centric unity, actively preparing spaces for everyone to live their lives to the fullest, regardless of age, abilities, or status.
But technology alone isn't enough. It requires a moral operating system to ensure it actually works for the good of humanity. The GENII system relies on a covenantal trust layer guided by the guilt-free standard. Do no harm. Help if you can. If unsure, just ask. This core ethical code governs every algorithmic calculation and human decision, replacing fragile paper contracts with verifiable, built-in accountability.
And that brings us to our final thought. We've explored how systems engineering, modular habitats, and algorithmic governance are being envisioned to solve the hunger bug and build an unbreakable, bottom-up economy. So, as we look at this blueprint, transitioning society from a legacy scarcity mindset into a guaranteed abundance reality, what is your role in the system upgrade? Take a moment to think about how you participate in the systems around you today. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the code our world runs on.